Shortly before his crucifixion and resurrection, Jesus Christ delivered a major prophecy of end-time events, recorded in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21. He was asked by his disciples, "When will these things be?" In Matthew 24:22, describing world conditions prior to his second coming, Jesus said that, "If that time of troubles were not cut short, no living thing could survive. But for the sake of God's chosen, it will be cut short." Revised English Bible. The main message that Jesus Christ brought was of the coming kingdom of God. This is described as kingdom of God. Matthew 24:22 shows us that if Jesus Christ does not intervene in world affairs, the human race will be faced with extinction. It's crucial to note that humanity has had the capability for self-annihilation for only a little more than 50 years, since both the United States and the Soviet Union developed and stockpiled hydrogen bombs, and the world had to learn to live with mutually assured destruction. Number 2. A Jewish homeland had to be re-established in the Middle East. Geopolitically, the central focus of end-time events is Jerusalem and its environs, what many people refer to as the Holy Land. Luke 21 is a parallel chapter to Matthew, but when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its desolation is near. For these are the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Luke 21:20 through 22. Jerusalem in ancient times had been fought over countless times, but for 4 centuries from 1517, the city had been at peace within the boundaries of the Ottoman Empire. Jews lived there as a minority under Turkish rule. But this was going to change dramatically during the course of the 20th century. It had to change for the fulfillment of Bible prophecy to take place. The Old Testament prophet Zechariah was used by God to reveal a great deal about end-time events and the second coming of the Messiah. Zechariah lived and prophesied more than 500 years before Christ's first coming, yet his prophetic book tells us a great deal about our world of today. In Zechariah 12:2-3, God says, "Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of drunkenness to all the surrounding peoples. When they lay siege against Judah, the Jews inhabiting the land of Israel and Jerusalem will surely be cut in pieces, though all nations of the earth are gathered against it." In Zechariah 12:9, he adds, "It shall be in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem." Number 3. The end-time figures prominently throughout the book of Daniel. Even though Daniel did not know his name and never knew him personally, he couldn't have, since he died almost 2 centuries before Alexander appeared on the world stage. But God revealed to Daniel that after Babylon, Persia would arise as the greatest power of the region, to be followed in turn by Greece. Not surprisingly, the prophecies regarding the rise of Greece are centered on Alexander the Great, one of the great to the incredible speed with which he conquered the known world. All this was achieved in a very short time. Alexander died in 323 BC when he was only about 33 years old. Even his sudden, unexpected death was prophesied. The male goat grew very great, but when he became strong, the large horn was broken, and in place of it, 4 notable ones came up toward the 4 winds of heaven. Daniel 8:8. Number 4. The gospel will be preached in all the world. In his major end-time prophecy, Jesus answers the question posed by the disciples. When will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? However, it was only with the technological advances of television and radio and other means of mass communication after World War II and their widespread acceptance that it became possible to reach hundreds of religious freedom. In some countries, people risk the death penalty for changing religion. But the internet is changing everything. It is much harder for governments to control. The gospel message of the coming kingdom, the state of Israel in 1948, was clearly a major turning point in the fulfillment of Bible prophecy, as was the acquisition of the hydrogen bomb by the 2 superpowers of the 1950s that led to the period of mutually assured destruction. All has now become possible. This, in turn, makes it much more likely that our generation will live to see Jesus Christ return and establish the kingdom of God on earth. After all, Jesus himself said that once these things begin, the generation alive at that time will by no means pass away till all these things take place. Matthew 24:34. It's both sobering and encouraging to think that we appear to be living in the generation that will ultimately witness the most important event in the history of mankind. As Jesus Christ tells his followers in Luke 21:28, Now when these things begin to happen, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption draws near.